Hey guys, how's it going? Laura with Garden Answer. Today I want to quickly show you how you can set up your containers on a drip system. So first off, let's go over some of the parts that you're going to need. You can get them in kit form like this one right here. This is a water-wise drip irrigation system from Proven Winners, and we work with Proven Winners a lot, so oftentimes I will use their kit. They come in a kit and you can buy them separately too, all the pieces. So if you are adding onto your system, you can get the same pieces. But this is compatible with the stuff you find at your box store as well. But let me just tell you that if you are a beginner and you've never set up a drip system before, it is nice to start with a kit because it's got everything that you could possibly need in this box. And this is just personal opinion, but the drip tubing that comes with the Waterwise kit is much thicker walled than the stuff you get at your box store. And it's rubbery. It's like soft on your hands. It's much easier to use with your connectors. The stuff at the box store is so rigid and hard that it starts to hurt your hands after a little while, and that's just personal opinion. So the first thing that you're actually going to want is a timer, because otherwise what's the point of setting up your pots on a drip system? So they come as simple as a one hose outlet with a dial, really inexpensive. I'm going to be showing you on this 2 hose outlet right here, and they get as intricate as a 4 hose outlet, Wi-Fi enabled. You can control this from your phone. Now, this is a really good way to get my husband to help me with the setting up the drip system, because he loves stuff like this. So anyway, we'll put links for both of these down below. So let's start at the hose faucet and work our way toward our containers. This is kind of a weird hose faucet. It's pointing up rather than kind of pointing down like they normally do, but it works just the same. So we're going to take our timer first and attach it to the hose faucet. The next thing you need is a backflow preventer, and this prevents any junk from getting back down in. The next thing is a faucet adapter, and this adapts from 3/4 inch down to our 1/4 inch tubing. Next, you attach your 1/4 inch tubing and it just slides right over the top. This is coming straight from the faucet, so I'm going to show you how to set up drip on 2 containers. So I'm going to need to make sure that this tubing splits into 2. So I'm going to use a T to do that, and it just slides right into the tubing. Now that the T is attached, I need to run a piece of tubing that's long enough to get to my small pot and long enough to get to my large pot. Now the best way to run your tubing is up through the bottom so that you don't see any of the tubing at any point. So do that when your containers are empty before you plant them up. So I'm going to take my piece of tubing, run it through the drain hole in my large container, and then we'll pull it up through just like that, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my smaller container. If you have really heavy containers that are going to be sitting on a hard surface, the best thing to do is to raise your pot up on pot feet. Something like this. There's black rubber ones like this that are very inconspicuous, or something more fancy like these terracotta ones. And what these do is just bump your pot up off the ground just enough for your tubing to have room to run up underneath your container without getting crimped or crushed. So at this point, I'm going to drape the excess tubing over the side of each of my containers and fill both of them with soil. So this is an 18-inch container, and this one is a 14-inch. So I'm going to probably use 3 emitters in this size container and 2 in this one. So I'm going to cut my tubing right here, and then I will insert a cross, which will allow me to split my tubing into 3 different directions. So it will look like this. Then I'm going to insert my emitters, and these are 1/2 gallon per hour emitters, and I'm going to insert them pointy side into the tube. So then I'm going to pop a stake on each one of these tubes and spread them apart equally in the pot, and then this one is done. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing in the smaller container, except I'm going to be using a T rather than a cross, because I only need to use 2 emitters in this size of pot. So these pots are all set up and ready to plant, and you can actually tee off of this original line and set up more containers if you want to. Like, let's say you have another pot 20 feet away. Well, you can just cut this tubing, add a T, and then run a piece of tubing to that pot, and then they'll all be on the same system. You just want to make sure you don't go over about 30 containers is what a 1/4 inch tube can handle, and you don't want it to travel more than about 100 feet total. If you're going to go further than that, then you probably need to be upping the size of your lead line to about a 1/2 inch poly tubing, and then you'll tee off and go 1/4 inch from there. So to hide the tubing that you're bringing to your containers, there's a couple different options. So if you're going through gravel, or if you're going through flower beds, something like that, you can easily scoot some mulch or dirt away and just bury it. It doesn't need to be buried very far, just enough to cover it so you don't see it. If you're running along your house, there are nail clamps that you can get like this. These actually came in the Waterwise kit. You just pop the tubing into the clamp, and then you can nail it into your house. They're really little nails. I've done this a lot, and it works really nicely. If you're not able to nail into your house, or if you're going along concrete, there really isn't a great option other than the fact that this tubing you can paint, so you can give it a quick coat of gray or whatever color your house is, or whatever surface you're traveling across, and it'll kind of mask it. You know, the look of tubing used to actually bother me. I didn't like it, and now when I see tubing, I think how smart people are. water. Like, I know why that tubing is there, and it's such a great thing. So if you already have your containers all planted up for this season, or you know, you just don't have the ability to, you know, get underneath your container, you can always go up over the side in the back of the container with your tubing. You might see a little bit of it, but oftentimes it's hidden behind a pot and your plants will eventually hide it anyway. So real quick about the emitters I used in these containers. These are 1/2 gallon per hour emitters, which you want to start running them at about an hour, and then you can adjust accordingly. So if you have a ton of water coming out the bottom of your pots and you don't need that much, you can scale back on the amount of time. If you live somewhere where it's really windy, dry, hot, you might need to up the time a little bit. You can also use different emitters. You could use 1 gallon per hour, 2 gallon per hour. They go all the way up, I think, to 4 gallon per hour. Like for example, we have in our hay rack system up front, we use 2 gallon per hour emitters, but we only run it for 15 minutes, which is the equivalent of running a 1/2 gallon per hour emitter for an hour, if that makes sense. So you can kind of adjust that according to what you think you need for your area, and you can adjust it mid-season too. I had originally put 1 gallon per hour emitters in one of my containers, and I actually swapped them out for 2 gallon per hour emitters just a little while ago because my container wasn't getting quite enough water. So that's it, you guys. I'm really hoping this video is helpful to you, just seeing the whole system from faucet all the way to pots, seeing all of the pieces and parts that you need to get the job done. It truly makes life so much easier. We've been making a concerted effort to get more of our flower beds, more of our containers, everything we possibly can on drip, we do, because it's actually more efficient use of water as well. So if you're getting sick of having to water every single day, or if you feel like you can't leave your house because your pots are gonna die, your flowers are gonna die, this is a super helpful solution. So we will link everything that I used and showed you in this video down below if you have any more questions or if you want to learn a little bit more. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.